absolutely astonishing season.
Hey man, I got that new TMX Thrustmaster wheel. It's going down.
Xbox One?
I can't wait to play when I get home.
Yo, let me play?
Yeah, I mean, after I play first. Yeah.
You know, I'll race it for it.
So I have a hand.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 3 of the Formula SimRacing 2018 Pro Championship. My name is Felix van Delft. I am joined here today by David O'Reilly in the commentary booth, and we are about to get ready for the third race of the season. Qualifying has just begun. Welcome, David. How are you?
Hi, Felix. Really well. Great to be here. Very excited to get involved in commentating on the first race I've been here for this season. So yeah, lots of exciting new toys on the car and new faces on the grid. Brand new circuit for us. So yeah, lots of new things to explore. So I got to say I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be an exciting race for sure. Pro has been pretty exciting so far in the first couple of races. We've seen some Musto drivers at the top of the grid. Winning last race was winning last race was Tiziano or Luca D'Amelio, sorry, and winning the first race was Lucas D'Amelio. And yeah, so two Musto drivers, at least now Musto drivers. D'Amelio was driving for Invictus back then.
And both Italians,
yeah.
The drivers at the top of the championship title chase are both Italian. So and so a lot of excitement from our Italian-based fans.
Yeah, definitely a lot of Italian fans we've seen around in the chat as well. If there's anybody in the chat that has any questions for us, please feel free to ask. We'll try to answer them when we have the time to, if the drivers allow us some time to answer your questions. Anyway, qualifying is on the way. Let's have a look at the times at the moment. Mirko Lupini from Team ACR, so far quickest on track with a 126.5. Behind him it is Bojan Bogdanov, and in third it is, for now, Tom Oldenmenger with a 27.0. So the gaps between drivers still pretty big, so I think there's a lot of room still for improvement for a lot of drivers. Also a lot of drivers that haven't finished their first laps yet, only 5 minutes into the session, so everything is still to decide for.
Still to play for. Lupini, it must be said, he's if that's a banker lap, he's put a pretty good banker lap in, and he was the quickest guy in practice. And I know that the Aberconic guys have been doing a lot of practice on their server, a lot of work on setup and sharing sets, etc. So their qualifying form's been pretty good.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
And just
ACR.
as I say that, Jo Pites joins them in the top 3.
Yeah.
He went very quick in the pre-qualifying, which took place. And just in case the viewers aren't aware, if more than 30 drivers sign up for the pro race, the starting grid is determined by the top 15 drivers on points, and the next 15 have to fight it out through pre-qualifying. And I think there were 22 turned up for pre-qualifying, and only the top 15 got through. So that's how competitive it is at this stage of the season to even get on the grid for pro, which is a very nice thing. Well, it's a healthy thing for the league. It's not nice if you don't get through pre-quali.
Yeah, it's well, I guess you're speaking out of experience here.
Yes, that's why I'm with you today. I was way off the pace. I've been working away for 3 months and haven't driven a car for 3 months. So with a week to get up to speed, I just wasn't quite at my normal mediocre level for qualifying.
Yeah, especially with these cars. These cars are not easy at all.
Yeah, indeed. And in the warm-up, we can chat about them a bit. It's quite fascinating, all of the adjustments and all of the characteristics of this new car.
Yeah, we definitely will. Alright, so at the moment it's once again kind of ACR versus Musto Racing. We've seen that a lot in the past 2 races. ACR being quite strong in qualifying, especially in the Pro and Ace divisions. Also in World Championship, of course, with Simonjic taking pole twice in a row. But in the race, they have been struggling, especially in Pro. I think an ACR driver could have won both of the races, but due to either technical difficulties by some of their drivers or just not the best strategy, they haven't been able to actually finish in front of a Musto driver and win a race so far. So perhaps today is a different day with Mirko Lupini looking strong in qualifying. I think he is about to start another lap. Well,
he's been challenged very closely now by Brioni from Musto. There's only half an inch between those two, and they've both just done simply one time lap. The qualifying format, same as always for us. The guys have 12 laps. So with an out lap, a hot lap, and an in lap, that means that you've got 4 shots, provided you get out clean. 4 chances to post your best time. In fact, Luca D'Amelio has just pipped Lupini with a purple lap of a 26.488.
Yeah,
15 thousandths of a second, 1.5 tenths.
Really close
in the picture. So we'll see how, and he's going out for another one. We'll see how the other guys are shaping up. Lupini and Brioni, see if they can answer that challenge. I'm keeping an eye out here for the sector times. Now Brioni's in his garage. Lupini is on his way out.
Pitais is on a lap, I think. He has just finished the first sector. See if I can get my live timing working. Otherwise, I'll just do it the old-fashioned way. Pitais first sector, 35.748.
That's a personal best for him.
Yeah,
it's 1.5 tenths off Brioni's first sector. I did find with this track, depending how you set your car up, sector 1 was very much a downforce sector, and then sector 2, of course, too much aero hurts you. But and he spun in the Cygnus corner. Very tricky corner. You've got to take it absolutely with the throttle pin. But if you don't get the entry inch perfect, it is so easy to get spat off there. But if you lift at all, you are not going to have a competitive lap time. So he's fallen foul of that.
Yeah, so Mirko Lupini also on lap again, coming into the fast right-hander. Now, last corner of sector 2. The difficult corner to get right, like you said, the entry, you need to get it inch perfect if you want to get the best lap time. And also in the race, it's a difficult corner to manage your tires on. It's a long, very long right-hander, also braking into the corner, which can hurt your left front tire quite a lot if you're not too careful. And Lupini spins in the last corner, a bit too much entry speed, loses the rear end of the car, and that is his lap gone. with the personal best in the second sector, so perhaps he would have been able to get that provisional pole position, but now he's gonna have to try once again.
Brioni has just gone off track. I'm not sure if he was letting somebody through. Tucson had just had a personal best lap. He's down in P9, 1:27.060. But yeah, that double right-hander after Cygnus, de Beauset, I think it's called. It is absolutely, it is a tire eater, that one. If you let your hair down and really give it full beans there during the race, during a stint in the race, your front left has just gone to lunch after about 6 laps. So you've got to weigh pace with a bit of patience there, I think, Felix.
Yeah, you definitely have. Otherwise, you will definitely struggle at the end of your stint.
D'Amelio's done a purple sector 1, so it looks like he's not going to struggle to replicate his original lap here. 35.3, in fact, he's 1.5 tenths up on his previous best. No doubt the rubber levels are improving, and he's able to take advantage of that as he approaches that corner we're talking about. De Beauset, of course, in a quali situation, you're not nursing your tyres at all. It is absolutely full beans, taking all the life out of the tyre that you possibly can, which is exactly what Luke is doing at the moment. Coming into the third sector, his sector 2 wasn't his personal best, it would appear. But
not
let's
his personal
see how
best.
it crosses the line.
Not an improvement. So last sector was a difficult one for him. 21.709, I think.
Yes, it's a funny thing. I mean, conditions would dictate that the cars go quicker and quicker because the rubber levels increase. But of course, so does the condition, so does the expectation of the driver. And it takes a very, very cool head to sort of dispassionately explore the improving track grip without just getting on edge and just tightening up a little bit. And often we see somebody will put a banker lap in and just not manage to improve, even though conditions improve. Brioni appears to have done a PB sector 1. So I'll just go on board with him for a sec. He's entering now Cygnus, the flat-out right-hander, then into the double right-hander of de Beauset. Fairly early apex there. He seems to be judging that quite well. Back on full throttle as he approaches the left-hander Bendor. Now he'll be on full throttle again and getting up to around 300 kilometres now, just shy of 300 kilometres now before the final double left. DuPont is the final corner. And he's got a good entry into the pit straight. And let's see what he does with his time.
Ooh, here we go. Provisional pole position for Thiago Brioni. 26.380, over a tenth quicker than Luca D'Amelio. So Luca's gonna have to try and improve his time.
That's a stunning lap by Brioni there. Very controlled and but aggressive at the same time. Bojan Bogdanov has done a PB in sector 1, and Morante done a PB in sector 1 as well. So Musto and or Amila have bumped Abbott Chronic off the front row now.
Yeah, Lupini though, he's gonna try and get that front row back. He is on a lap. Personal best in the second sector. Last sector is now all to the side. Looks nice and tidy. Now the last corner is gonna be very important. On the power as quick as he possibly can. Last run to the line. What is it going to be for the Lupini? Not an improvement. It is a
position. He was very
sector.
precise into that final corner. In fact, it was a PB in sector 2 and it was a session best in sector 3.
Yeah.
So it's just incredible. He was quicker than Brioni in sector 3. He was quicker than Brioni in sector 2. But Brioni got him by half a tenth in sector 1, so that's how competitive it is. In fact, Lupini took 3.5 tenths off his PB. He had a 1:26.5, and that was a, oh sorry, pardon me, I'm doing my maths back to front. That was a 1:27.1, so yeah, did not improve. Tom Oldenmenger is on a PB for sector 1 and sector 2. 35.628, a couple of tenths off the session best, but it could be an improvement for him. He's very close, yes, and he's jumped up to P8. from P6. So Tom should be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, Tom should be someone to keep an eye out on. He has been pretty strong in the last couple of races. Finished on the podium in Australia, P2 actually even, and in Bahrain he finished in 4th place, so just out of the podium position, but still a driver that has been consistent in the last 2 races, and let's see what he can do here in Paul Ricard. Now Luca D'Amelio is starting his lap, or no, he isn't. Jopi Thijs is on a lap. He is about to finish his lap, coming out of the last corner now. Personal best in the 2nd sector, let's see what he can do. Improvement in time, but not an improvement in position. Keeps himself in P6.
Yeah.
Goes a 10th quicker though.
Just 25 hundredths improvement. Less than a 10th, in fact, improvement. So I think the drivers seem to be exploring the limits. And interesting, you mentioned Oldenmenger pulling a couple of good race results. He is currently lying 3rd in the standings. So it just goes to show it's not all about qualifying, is it? You've got to finish the race, and that's the points are paid during the race. Yep.
Yeah, very well said. And especially in the Pro Division, that can prove quite difficult for some drivers. So if you're able to get to the finish, even if you start a bit further down than you would have liked, there's a good chance you get points. Anyway, I think drivers are starting their laps. Tiziano Brioni enters turn 1 right now. Let's see what he can do. Can he defend his pole position? Last lap for him. 2.5 minutes remaining in the session. Very aggressive into sector 1. Now onto the back straight.
Oh, he absolutely used all the track there on the exit to get maximum speed onto the straight.
Yeah. Long straight, of course. We're gonna see some overtakes here in the race, I bet.
328 kph, so he's got a very high top speed.
Yeah, first sector of Brioni not the best, but Emilio in the meantime has gone purple in sector 2, so session best for Emilio. Keep an eye out on him as well.
Okay, I'll watch him. He's just crossed. Oh, he's just crossed the line to take pole. Emilio has secured pole position by 1.5 tenths, so stunning lap from Luca D'Amelio.
Yeah, and all the pressure is on Brioni now.
The Oromila Grand Prix driver has secured pole position, and that's his session done. He's used 11 of the allocated 12 laps. So in fact, that's impressive. It would have been a fairly fraught qualifying for him, because that is only the 2nd lap he's managed to complete. He must have had a couple of aborted laps, but he's certainly put the cash on the table with that lap time of a 1:26.213. Lupini has just done a PB in sector 1, so he's putting one together. I'll just ride on board with him for a second. Slightest of lifts into Cygnus, going very hot into the double right-handed to both set. Beautiful apex though, and able to get back on the throttle nice and early. He's looking fairly strong here. Nice apex through the left-hander. Bendor. Now Cameron Rogers just ahead, but that shouldn't provide any issue for him. Aggressive but precise through the final complex. And DRS open and full beans as he approaches the line and does not change positions.
No. So no ACR on the front row this round.
In fact, he was 3 hundredths slower than his personal best. So
yeah. Ooh, Bojan Bogdanov. He started his lap with exactly 1 second left on the clock. So
pushing to the limit.
Exactly, pushing to the limit. He definitely is. Now, what is he going to be doing in this lap? Looks nice and tidy through the first couple of corners. However, is that so quick? We're gonna see in just a second for the first sector. Coming onto the back straight, full beans, opening the DRS. Going up to about 330 kilometers an hour. A little bit lower for the ACR guys, 325.
Running a touch more wing. Well, very aggressive into the chicane there. Oh, and he's lost the rear end. That was such an aggressive entry into the chicane. If he'd pulled that off, that would have been something special.
Yeah, a little bit too aggressive though.
So that is Bogdanov. That's all his laps used up, 10 out of 12. In fact, he also managed to just do two timed laps, which is so often the case. When you've got 4 shots at it, you get that banker done, and then you start to really push. And those laps where you're really pushing just don't always come off. So
Ivan Leonov was the last driver on track.
The line, yep. So there we have it. We have our top 10.
Yeah, we indeed have our top 10. Luca D'Amelio will be starting from pole position. Race winner in Australia, and now on pole position. Let's see what he can do. Tiziano Brioni, race winner at Bahrain, is now on P2. Mirko Lupini in P3. HCR driver, definitely need to keep an eye on him. Francesco Marante in P4. Bojan Bogdanov P5. Jackson Wendt P6. Jao Pitaes, I think he will be disappointed, down in P7. Indrek Remitz in P8. Tom Oldenmenger in P9. And then Guillermo Occhipinti in P10 for Twister Racing.
Yeah, it sets us up for a fascinating race, I think, Felix, because we've got the joint leaders of the Drivers' Championship chase sharing the front row. So there's going to be a lot of ambition from those two guys. Tom Oldenmenger down in 9th is P3 in the championship. And this particular track, I mean, I've been away for 3 months from the circuits and from the racing, but getting used to this Paul Ricard circuit, I think there can be a real emphasis on setting a car up for qualifying versus setting a car up for the race, because we talked about that tyre lunching double right-handed de Beauset in Sector 2, the end of Sector 2. And, you know, what you can get away with in qualifying for a great lap time, you can't necessarily get away with for 40 laps. And my instinct says that there's a couple of drivers in the top 10 who have probably set their car up as a better race car, and we might see some people pitting very early to get off these super softs, and that is going to show us who set their car up really nicely for the race. So I find that quite fascinating with this circuit.
Yeah, it's a very nice circuit to drive on as a driver, I think. And let's see if we can get some good racing here as well. It's a very mixed bag of corners, but also straights. There are long straights. I mean, the back straight is really quite long, and with the slipstream, with the DRS, I think we're definitely going to see some overtakes there. But then also, of course, the second and third sectors, or especially the third sector, is a lot dependent on downforce. A lot of long corners, which will affect tire wear in the dirty air, of course, as well. So as a driver, if you're behind the driver, you need to manage how you drive in that dirty air. If you manage your tires, if you save a bit of fuel, to perhaps get the driver on the next straight. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how these drivers will cope with it in the race. And yeah, I think we are going for a short break. We will be back in about 4 minutes time. So stay tuned in, grab a cup of coffee, and we will be right back.
it up.
Whoa, Reese!
Oh no, big mistake! Edwards got back last and down to now he corners. It has been an absolutely astonishing season.
Alright, welcome back ladies and gentlemen. Warm-up is still underway. We are getting ready for the third race of the season. And so are the drivers, of course. Dave, you just said to me, let's talk a little bit about the cars.
I really do, Felix, find this car quite fascinating. Last season we ran with effectively a 2009 spec Formula One car. So for the diehards who don't like the idea of DRS, for example, or hybrid power delivery, but now we're right back into contemporary F1 cars. So it's a 2017, 2018 spec car. So it's wider, it's got fatter tyres, a lot of grip, more aero. It's got DRS. It's got 820 horsepower. So the car is super quick. But it's mega technical. I mean, the drivers have 7 fuel mixture settings to play with. Now, of course, in qualifying, they bang it straight up to party mode to mix 7, and can also utilise a boost feature, which will blow an engine up after just over a lap. So that's a quali-only facility. But then when it comes to the race, the cars are fuel limited. These cars only carry 106 litres of fuel, which is only, you've got to manage that. If you put the fuel mix too high, you will not complete race distance. And so the drivers have got to decide whether they want to sort of pop it into mix 3 or mix 4 and forget about it, or whether they want to bang it up to mix 7 for an overtaking attempt, or indeed to defend. So in the cockpit, as well as the usual things like brake balance adjustments and DRS, they're managing 7 fuel mixes. And also new for this season, the guys have got access in the cockpit to an anti-roll bar adjustment. So that can be done on the fly. But before anybody says, oh, that's a bit fake and that's not in keeping with true F1, go and have a look at the spec for Alan Jones's 1980 Williams, in which he won the World Drivers' Championship. That had onboard anti-roll bar adjustment as well. They can also adjust the engine brake mix, so how much retardation is offered by the engine itself. So in the big braking zones, like into the chicane, they might want to soften the engine braking slightly. So it's a bit of a science project to drive this car. So you're mixing sheer aggression to get the maximum lap time, but at the same time you're looking after tyres, you're looking after fuel levels, and it's a fascinating experience to drive this car. So I hope our viewers come along for the ride and just get a feel for what these drivers are actually doing.
Yeah, it's asking a lot of the drivers, definitely, and that only makes winning, I think, even more of a achievement for the driver that does win.
Yeah, 100%, and there is no guarantee that the guys on the front row are going to win, because I think one of the big issues, we touched on tyre management. In Sector 2, you've got that double right-handed Debo set, which is you're decelerating from about 300 kph, but at the same time dealing with a double apex right-hander. And you've just got to decide whether you're going to be patient or whether you're going to attack, and what's that going to cost you in tyre wear, and have you set your car up to be a beautiful race car and give you good tyre life, or have you set it up purely to be a qualifying machine? So that's all going to play out. But as well as all that tactical stuff, which is interesting to discuss, we've also got a track which offers a lot of aggression. I think the Mistral Straight there, that really slow chicane, it's the fourth or third gear chicane, breaking down from well over 300. If you've got DRS on your opponent there after Sector 1, he just cannot defend you. There is no way that with your DRS open and your fuel mix up, that anybody will have a hope of defending you. So it's a game of chess at 320 kilometres an hour, and really I can't wait for it to happen.
Yeah, definitely. Also, of course, tires. We've got 3 tires this year. So there are 3 compounds of tires, I should say, that the drivers have the ability to use. Differs on each track, obviously. In total, we have the ultra soft, super soft, soft, medium, and hard compounds. This track, it will be the super soft, soft, and medium compounds available to the drivers. I think of course, the top 10 is gonna use the tire they qualified on. I think they all qualified on the super soft tire. So it will be interesting to see what happens after that. In Bahrain, we have seen different strategies working out for some drivers. One stop, I think, was the plan for D'Amelio. Eventually ended up doing a 2-stop. But it's nice to see that different strategies do seem to work. And it's definitely something that we will have to keep an eye out. Perhaps a driver like Tom Oldermenger, starting a bit further down the grid, will try a different strategy to move himself up the grid without having to do a whole load of overtakes. But we're gonna have to wait and see for that. Formation lap is about to get on the way. Pressure building up for these drivers. It's about to begin. 40 laps around this racetrack. It's gonna be tough, but let's see who will be the best today.
Yeah, strategy-wise, I think it's a slam dunk 2-stopper. I would absolutely take my hat off to anybody who can manage a 1-stop, because the lap time delta between the super soft and the soft is somewhere between half a second and 0.7 of a second. But of course, the super soft just expires so quickly. And unless you've got your balance set up perfectly, you just start to run out of fronts and just understeer like an aircraft carrier after about 6 or 7 laps. So I'm noticing, though, Ivan Leonov is running the medium tyre, if my screen is correct, and I think they've updated to the correct compounds now. So Leonov, who's in P10 on the grid, so that must have been due to a grid penalty for somebody who qualified in front of him. So Leonov is on the hardest tyre, so he may in fact be considering going for a 1-stop. Cameron Roger is the first other guy not using the super soft. He's on a soft tyre. Kulak in P14 is on the hard. So there's a couple of the guys lower down in the grid have decided to chance their arm with a slow tyre, and we'll see whether that's the right choice or not. My feeling is they'll probably find themselves dropping well off the pack. And it's a pretty short pit lane delta too here. It's only 16.8 seconds for a clean pit stop. So you've not got to win a lot of lap time over a 40-lap race to pay for a pit stop. So I do question the choice of using this hard tyre, and we'll see. What would I know? I didn't even manage to get through pre-quali, but I've just got a bit of a sneaking suspicion the hard tyre is going to be a bit of a tough call for these guys.
Yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see how it works out for Leonov. Leonov has been quick in the past races. Let's see if he can deliver today in the pro race, at least get a few positions more than that 10th place. Anyway, look at D'Amelio is lining up in his grid slot. He will be starting on the left side of the grid. The run to turn 1 is pretty long actually, so he's gonna have to watch out for any overtaking attempts from the drivers behind him. Now, as the drivers are all lined up, at least almost, last couple of the guys in the back lining up. Then it is time for the 3rd round of the Pro Championship to get underway. Waiting for the lights to come on. Here we go. Got 5 lights and we are racing here. It's been a bad start for
jump on D'Amelio.
Yeah, bad start for Luca D'Amelio. Already lost the position to Tiziano Brioni. Lupini also having a bit of trouble with the cars right behind him, but it seems that it has gone.
We had a big contact there. Ochapinti, I think his name is. There's been a big collision in the entry to turn 2, turn 3, which is a real pinch point. Bogdanov is caught up in that as well. Yeah, messy start there down the back, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
So Tucson's looking injured. Bogdanov has had a hit.
Very unfortunate for all the drivers involved, of course. In the front though, Francesco Morante, teammate for Luca D'Amelio, was looking for an overtake on Mirko Lupini, decided to wait a little bit longer. But it is all unfolding now.
Big lock up into the chicane by one of the mid-pack drivers there. So the top two away safely.
Around P14, Jan Vesely fighting with his teammate a little bit. Also right behind them, Rumer Tissing and Claudio, or sorry, Jaupitaes. Yeah, Jaupitaes and Rumer Tissing battling, almost going side by side. Now let's go back to the front as Brioni is getting a bit of pressure from Luca D'Amelio again. It was a great start from the Musto Racing driver there, putting him instantly in front of this race. But let's see.
That was a fabulous reaction time from him, which gave him the entry. So Moranto was joined on the back of the lead group of three. So we've got 4 cars within 1 second as we open lap 2. Jackson Vent a little bit further back. Rimitz further back in 6th. Olden Menger in 7th.
D'Amelio still close. Let's see how he can cope with the dirty air though, especially in the coming corner section, especially the double right-hander. It's difficult to manage tires. You can see him taking slightly different lines than the car in front of him just to avoid having that dirty air from the car in front of you and save a little bit of tires by doing so. Obviously those lines won't give him the quickest lap time, but in the end it might be it probably will be more beneficiary to not ruin your tires already in the second lap of the race.
So we've got Occhipinti and Kev Brooks both out after that first lap contact in turn 2, turn 3, both out with suspension damage. Brooks came in, tried to repair the car, but had to turn the steering wheel at extreme angles to go straight. And I can't blame him for deciding that 39 laps of that was not going to be much fun.
Alright, so the top 10 still really close to each other. Basically, whole top 10 within 7 seconds still.
Now Cameron Roger hanging on to the back of that top 10. Of course, we're only 2 laps in, but he's of course on the soft tyre. So he'll be just settling down now for the long haul, thinking to himself, right, well, all these boys in front, I'll let them have their time in the sun over the first half dozen laps. And then as their tyres go off, mine will start to come on song. And Cameron would be thinking, feeling quite ambitious, perhaps, about what's going to happen in the few laps he's got after the initial pit stops. Emilio was slightly quicker than Brioni last lap around, but Brioni really stretching his legs in the opening sectors of lap 2. But the two of them working, they're very, very close together. Lupini is just nipping on their heels as well.
Yeah.
Perhaps being that little bit more patient, thinking that these guys are going to stress their tyres, stress their fuel levels, and his time will come. Morante attacking Lupini into the turn 2, turn 3 chicane, and Lupini deciding discretion was the better part of valor there and letting him through, or rather not, I would say, not fighting him aggressively is probably a fairer way to put it.
Yeah, Lupini
so Morante has taken off in pursuit of the top 2 now.
Yeah. However, Lupini, of course, will have the DRS on the back straight now.
Interesting point.
Let's see.
Good tactic move, yep, and he's got the DRS open now.
He might be a bit too far back to get a good slipstream from him though. Perhaps if he brakes late and deep, No, decides to take it careful. Also
Made
needs to...
himself big in Morante's mirrors, giving himself stressed Morante a bit, but without taking any big risk. But in the meantime, Vent is right on the gearbox of Lupini as well. Lupini going a little defensive. Went is going to be very compromised in his entry into Cygnus here. Manages to pull it off. Because, of course, on the high corner, throwing up the inside of a slow-speed corner is one thing, but throwing it up the inside of a corner where you need all the racetrack. Oh, we've had an off further back. I just saw in the background there. It was Pitays, Joe Pitays. Had a bit of an adventure off into the runoff area. And for the trivia minder, that's made up of asphalt and tungsten to be very high grip.
His Joe Pita's race has been really has not been going the way he has wanted at all. He's now well, he's almost totally flooded by yellow cars. The Invictus Motorsports cars and the Brazilian GP cars all are right in front and behind him, and I think he will definitely be a little bit disappointed in himself at the moment.
I think I've just ridden on board with him, and I think he's got some suspension damage. His wheel has turned a few degrees to the left to go straight, so he's going to have one of those afternoons where it is just not so much fun.
This battle might be
a damaged car.
Yeah, this battle might be nice to keep an eye out on. Claudia Cunha will have the DRS, so will Ruben Tissing on Jan Vesely. They will be coming into the chicane. Let's see if Rumer can outbrake him. Make the corner still. Yes, he does. Nice move there from Rumer. Does he get the exit of the chicane as well? Yeah, nicely done there by Rumer Tissing. And that is P12 for him in the Brazilian GP car. Any viewers that were looking closely to that car might have noticed something on the rear wing. I'm not saying much more. Anyway, the Invictus drivers also battling with each other. Joe Pitaes is just keeping an eye out on any opportunities to make a move on both of those drivers.
So Brioni last time round was the first driver to drop into the 131s, which is a pretty quick time really, because they're still carrying around 100 litres of fuel, 100 odd kilos of fuel, and in fact I think he's going to clear the DRS zone. I don't think D'Amelio is going to have DRS on him this time round, so which of course is a nice thing to achieve, because the person behind you just doesn't have that free pass to jump back on your tail every time around. So Brioni really asserting himself here in this opening stint. Morante is under attack from Vent. Jackson Vent is really on the gearbox of Morante now. Morante was not shy in getting past Mirko Lupini, but he himself is now under pressure from Jackson Wendt. Lupini just cruising around. P5 in very good position, only 5 seconds off the lead, and perhaps he's playing a long game. Perhaps he's just looking after his tyres and looking after his fuel, and he's going to attack aggressively around the pit stops. Certainly his car seems to be handling nicely under him.
Also, two drivers that have been closing into this lead train are Indrek Remates and Tom Oldenmenger. Now, Mirko Lupini is really close to the back of Jackson Wendt. However, Jackson will be having DRS as well from Francesco Morante in front of him. So, Mirko Lupini
got DRS.
Won't be gaining too much time on him.
Lupini got a better line into the turn 2, turn 3 chicane there. And I think Lupini's shown a bit of patience and a bit of judgment here. When he got the attack from Morante, he decided not to push a bad position. And this time as well, he's just showing a little bit of patience on the back of Wendt. Tom Oldenming not far off the back of that train as well. So we still have the top 9 guys in a 9-second gap. And Cameron Roger on the soft tyre, so on the harder of the two compounds we're discussing. 6 laps in, he's 12 seconds off the lead and 5 seconds off the train in front of him with a PB of a 1:33.6. So he's running about a second slower than these guys. He's taking his medicine now. I mean, The other drivers have all got to use the soft at some point. So Cameron might have decided he'll use the super soft. I mean, Cameron might have decided he's going to put the super softs on with lower fuel levels, and
yeah, what happened there? Brioni lost the lead to Luca D'Amelio.
I'm going to go back.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened.
I'll go back into replay and have a look. Busy chatting about strategy and missed the action. My apologies. Well, he must have got a bad sector 1 because it looks like a very straightforward DRS pass. So I'm just going to... Okay, I'm with it now.
Yeah. Yeah, straightforward DRS pass into the chicane. Braked him. Perhaps Brioni wasn't really expecting it.
I think Brioni had a lag into turn 3, and ended up off onto the curb on the outside of turn 4. Now, whether it was a lag or whether it was driver error, it put Brioni right on his gearbox. Or rather, D'Amelio right on his gearbox and allowed a very simple pass.
Jackson went around the outside. Is he gonna try it in the chicane? It's gonna be the inside for the next part of the chicane. Is he gonna leave the room? Not much room left there for Francesco Morante, who had to avoid him and go onto the gravel. Now Morante has got to watch out for Mirko Lupini right behind him, and also Indrek Vermeets and Tom Oldermenger closing in, and even Polamaros Staranditis, sorry if I mispronounced your name there, is also closing in. And this train for P4 effectively, or maybe even P3, is really closing in.
Wow, that's amazing. It's a squadron of them there fighting for P4. Yeah, interesting to note that Brioni's lap time was 2.1 seconds slower than his best, or nearly 3 seconds slower than his best lap time.
Yeah, okay, Mirko Lupini, first driver to pit, relatively early pit stop, lap 8 for him. Perhaps he was having the idea getting stuck behind the drivers. Let's get out in free air, puts on fresh medium tires. So probably will be a bit of a longer stint for him now. Let's see, pit exit, bit crowded. It's a difficult pit exit here. You basically rejoin right in the middle of the track, middle of the racing line as well. So you really need to watch out as a driver on the pit straight and also coming out of the pit. But Lupini rejoining in the dirty air of João Pitaz and Roemer Tissing. That definitely won't be helping him trying to get an undercut on the drivers in front of him, unless he can get past these two drivers relatively quickly.
Yeah, bold move, grabbing the medium tyre. He's 24 seconds off lead. Pit stop is about 17 seconds, so that puts him back in probably a real-time P5 if he's managing to maintain that same pace. But
yeah, Francesco Morante is struggling at the moment. He seems to have lost a couple of positions already to Tom Oldermenger and Indrek Vermeets now as well. Really was looking strong in the first part of this race, but now once the tire wear is kicking in, losing positions, and now goes into the pit lane as well.
Now Brioni is very close. Morante is hit it. Yeah, sorry, you just said that. Brioni is now in a position to attack D'Amelio. Very close to him, having a very strong sector 1, and I think he wants to put to rights what happened to him partly, I think, through lag 2 laps ago. Yeah, Brioni has a bit of a lose, he's back on the gas, but DRS is open, and Brioni is going to attack D'Amelio, and he's probably not quite close enough to get that done safely this time round. He's certainly putting massive pressure on under the race leader, and would appear to have plenty of natural pace to make this work. But we're also curiously getting very late in the stint now, 9 laps into an option stint. It's going to really depend a lot on what drivers' setups are looking like.
Now P16, for P16 battle going on between Tom van Egmond, Tom Lobaert, sorry, Cas Rietveld, Jan Vesely, which is really starting to unfold a little bit here. There was a bit of contact made between these drivers. Now Tom Laberts is going to try it around the outside in the fast right hand. That's not going to work now.
Race leader entering the pits. Luca D'Amelio has just entered the pits, handing the lead back to Brioni. Sorry to speak over you there.
Yeah, don't worry.
Olden Menga in the pits as well. Olden Menga, Remets, Emilio. Lots of drivers pitting after 10 laps.
Hendrik
Bit of
Remets.
an issue here in the pit lane.
This
Two cars stuck together.
Yeah,
Remets and Serendititas appear to have bumped into each other in pit lane, or were sharing the same pit box. So unfortunate for them.
Alright, so let's see. Nicolopini, he hasn't been able to really get any luck by going the undercut for the earlier pit stop. He is now behind Tom Oldermenger, behind Jackson Wendt, and didn't gain anything compared to Luca D'Amelio. So I'm not sure if HR chose right to get him in earlier, because like we saw, he rejoined in the middle of the pack, right behind Roman Tissing.
And on a slow tyre.
Yeah, exactly.
My gut tells me Brioni will pit because his car's gone very understeery. Yep. Brioni is entering pit lane now from the lead, but he's had a nasty slide.
Oh dear.
Almost front on into the Armco. Oh, disaster for Brioni. This most definitely will have at least temporarily cost him his lead. Has he damaged his car? No, there doesn't appear to be any damage on the front wing, but not what you want to see happening when you're pitting from the lead. He didn't really have any choice because the overcut does not work here. If you stay out on slow tyres, you just get eaten alive by the people who've put quicker tyres on behind you. And Brioni re-enters in P9. The times will settle out in a minute once he's been through a sector, and we'll know how far off the lead he is. But
yeah, it's, well, compared to Luca D'Amelio is already on the back straight. Yeah, that is definitely something. 30 seconds almost, I think. Yep.
And it should have been probably 2.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Or in fact, if not keeping the lead. But the other interesting thing is Brioni has gone for the medium tyre as well. So we've got several drivers have opted for the hardest compound available. Can they do 29 laps? Can they do 30 laps on these tyres and bring it home? I don't think so.
No,
maybe
I think
to enable them to go onto a soft tyre at the end, the super soft.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see for that. But indeed, I don't think 30 laps on the medium tyres will be possible. But I guess prove me wrong. Perhaps somebody is gonna try it. We'll just have to wait and see.
It doesn't make any sense at all, because you're handing away probably a second a lap compared to the super soft. And 30 laps is 30 seconds, and a pit stop is 16. So they just must have found that they couldn't do super soft, and so they've decided to go super soft, medium. Battaglia entering the pits from P7.
Yeah, Cameron Roger is now leading this race, starting on the soft tire. He is still out, but surely he is about to lose that lead to Luca D'Amelio, who is on fresh soft tires, only 2 laps old. Cameron Rogers tires are 12 laps old now. So if I were Cameron, I wouldn't bother too much defending this. He is driving a totally different race. However, he is not giving up the position that easily.
Yeah, nice work there. He forced D'Amelio to make a big decision there.
Yeah, either go or be careful. D'Amelio decided to be careful. Of course, I'm sure D'Amelio realizes Brioni is not right behind me. Maybe he doesn't know exactly what happened, but he knows that that the pressure of Brioni isn't right on his rear wing at the moment.
No, and Brioni's got plenty of laps to make something happen. He's 14 seconds back. He's got 28 laps to go. So he can still make something happen for a podium. I think it would be an amazing effort to catch D'Amelio now. it looks like D'Amelio is, you know, feeling confident about his tyre saving. And D'Amelio uses a DRS to get a nice, neat pass into the turn 1, turn 2 chicane.
Yep. Yeah, easy move there for D'Amelio. And now he will be focusing on stretching his lead compared to Jackson Wendt. Both on the soft tire. So let's see what he can do. Now Mirko Lupini, he's on the slower tire, of course, compared to the driver in front of him. I think he needs to watch out a little bit for Francesco Morante as well.
Yeah, the Pini's running 132 flat on this tyre. Let's have a look and see what, say, Cameron Roger is doing. 133s on his worn pair. Olden Menga 131s, 132s. Looks like he's had some traffic. And potentially a pit stop. I'll just have a look at Olden Menga. Yeah, Olden Menga's stopped as well. He's got himself into a net P4 after the pit stop, so he's moved up nicely.
Yep. Yeah, in the meantime, Ruben Tissing and Polomaros Saranditis were...
Veasley and Pites are having a bit of a tussle here into the flat-out right-hander Signes. Yeah,
Joe's still struggling a little bit with these Invictus and Wrestling GP drivers, as Jan Vesely was going wide there, almost got collected by Balazs Galliard there. Luckily, Balazs was paying attention and managed to avoid him.
Now, Leonov is still out on his original set of medium tyres, so he's running around doing anything between a mid 33 and a low 34, but still lapping on the mediums. He's just done a 32.8, so he's staying in touch. 16th place, 32 seconds back, but that's a lot more than a pit stop. Jackson Wendt has just done the fastest lap of the race with a 31.635, only just fractionally quicker than D'Amelio in the lead.
Now for P13, Jan Vesely, indirect remates. Oh, indirect engine failure, I think.
Who was that?
Indirect remates down in P16. Seems like an engine failure for him.
Well, you know what? I did see. I think I saw his engine smoking off the grid.
Ooh.
And you've got to be so careful with this car, because if you push the limits too far on temp and push the limits on RPM, as you've just seen, that engine is just going to detonate. And if you get a little bit greedy in a fight and even use the high mixture levels, which don't directly affect wear, but they do via temperature. So if you've got over rev and over temp, the engine life just disappears. Cameron Roger in the pits to get off his soft tyres, and he's liking the soft, gone for another set. So 15 laps first stint on the softs, and he's going out to no doubt do another 15, if not 16 laps on the softs, which will bring him into an easy super soft stint to come home. Now that's put Brioni up into 6th place, so he's still at the thick end of 14 seconds back. He's not going to find himself on D'Amelio's gearbox, I don't think, but he could well be in a position to challenge for 4th or 3rd. Just unfortunate, that pit stop incident that he had. So D'Amelio now with a 4-second gap to Jackson Wendt, both of them on the soft tyre. Then we've got Olden Menga in P3. And that's a net P3 because these guys have all stopped. So the big loser in the championship really at the moment is Brioni. But he's only got to find 6 or 7 seconds, and he's going to be in the fight with Olden Menga, Lupini and Morante.
However, he's on the slower medium tire, so I doubt he will be really able to close in that gap by much, in at least distant.
No, good call. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen, what, in the next 5, well, in another 5 laps or so, when these people on the softs start to lose a little bit of pace. because their tyres will be 10 laps old. If he's going to shine on the medium, that's the moment that he's going to shine. So of course, because the drivers have the opportunity at the pit stop, they can change their front wing setting. So when they go to a harder tyre, a tyre of lower grip, if you've got less grip at the rear end, you've got to match that with less grip at the front end, or you get an oversteering beast, which is incredibly hard to control. So the drivers will normally change their front wing setting as they change tyre compounds. So going to a slower tyre means going to a bit less wing on the front to match front and rear grip. But they can also, late in a stint, if they're getting very technical, they might decide to change rear anti-roll bar. If they're getting massive understeer through the double right-hander, or if rear wear is great, they'll soften the rear ARB to try and get some balance back. But the problem is, in the middle of a fight, if you start thinking about all this engineering stuff, you drop out of the zone.
Yeah, it's difficult to keep focus with all the other things going on. You need to think about your fuel, you need to think about the way your car handles, so also the ARBs, the engine braking perhaps. It's difficult as a driver. Sometimes an engineer, or having an engineer, can help with that. However, Francesco Morante, I think, is gonna try to make the move on Lupini. No, not yet. Lupini also had the DRS from the car in front of him. So Morante having difficulties getting past him, at least for now.
Now Brioni has pulled that gap down by a second. He's now 12.9, and he's running 132 flat lap times. D'Amelio in the lead is not going any quicker. D'Amelio, in fact, is going half a second slower than Brioni. So Brioni is doing a good job. He's got clear air in front of him, so he can manage his own race. But he can see the cars in front of him as he enters the chicane now on the Mistral straight. He can see the other cars accelerating out of the chicane, and it's very motivating when you're on a fight back to see that after a bit of a tough pit stop, to start to see cars up in the distance really can bring out your best sometimes. And his car certainly seems to be hooked up. He's got a good balance on that medium tyre.
Yes. Down in P15, just an overtake has been done by Tom Laberts on Claudia Cunha. Pretty straightforward move into the chicane on the back straight.
And that's 131.8 now. So Brioni is in the 131s now on his harder tyre.
Big
and
crash.
He's taken 0.8 of a second out of the car in front of him. Moranti last time around was a 132.6. So and there's a lot of cars now within sight. This is just a quite tantalising fight back from Brioni. Leonov finally pitting after those. His team must have budget issues. He's driven that medium tyre for 17 laps. Oh, and he's overshot his pit box and had to reverse back in. So he's now on the super soft. So I imagine we're going to see 2 super soft stints now from Leonov. So this is his chance to have some fun.
Yeah. He's got a bit of a gap in front of him, which is nice, so he can get the best out of his fresh tires, lap time wise. Messi Tucson is about 3 seconds up the road. So let's see what Leonov can do on these fresh super softs. Now a bit further down the field, Jan Vesely had quite a big crash with Rumer Tissing. I had a quick look back at it. Seemed like Jan Vesely went very wide and rejoined the track maybe a bit too aggressively, and then Rumer wasn't able to avoid him. They had contact, and Jan Vesely now in the pit lane. I think he won't be able to repair his car. Already his engine is smoking, so I think it's gonna be race over for Jan Vesely. He's already a lap down. Very unfortunate for the Invictus driver.
So Luca D'Amelio's engineer must have sent him a message that Brioni is really lighting up the timing screens, considering that he's on the medium tyre, and D'Amelio has just done a 31.7. So he's certainly decided to show a clean pair of heels to Jackson Wendt in P2. Wendt himself lapping in low 32s.
Tom Oldenmenger, Mirko Lupini are battling, it seems like, Francesco Morante and Mirko Lupini. Morante really close to the back, but not able to get past just yet.
Yes, that's an intriguing battle. So Lupini is on the harder of the compounds, Lupini on the medium, Morante on the soft. So Morante should have a bit of a pace advantage, but he's probably getting fairly late into his stint. He's 8 laps into the soft tyre stint. So if he had the upper hand at the beginning, it's probably starting to dissipate by now. Lupini's car seems to be handling well. And Morante, of course, when he gets this close to Lupini, he starts to suffer some understeer because the disrupted air, what we call dirty air, the disrupted air over his front spoiler means he loses front grip. And if he fights to keep the same pace, he then ends up suffering with some understeer and some tyre wear. Now, of course, he's got DRS on Lupini. Lupini covers the inside, very strong defence, and that's the logical thing to do into a slow chicane. So Morante got a good look at him, but no cigar. And through the flat-out right-hander Cygnus, Morante has no choice but to lift. And particularly the early part of the double right-handed debut set, Morante is struggling for front grip. Whereas Lupini, his car pushing through undisturbed air, has just got a nicer handling balance. So Morante won't want to do this forever. He'll want to get really close to Lupini, bend a bit of front tyre wear now, and get full lock on this other car. Whoop, although, no, he's decided to pit. He's decided he's wasting his time there, hurting his tyres, and he'd rather undercut him. So that'll be intriguing to see where Morante comes out after Lupini's next stop. But of course, Lupini is on a different strategy. Lupini can run longer on these tyres, but of course, as we recalled, it was an early stop onto these tyres, wasn't it? It was lap 8. So he's 10 laps in.
Yeah.
That'll be intriguing when Lupini stops, where he'll be.
Yeah, relatively early stop for Morante though, but he's now on the medium tires, so I think
he's going to try and bring it home?
Yeah, I think he's going to try and bring it home.
Yeah, well, 19 laps, certainly doable.
Yeah, let's see if he'll be able to manage. He's got Jarpy tires about 1.5, 2 seconds in front of him, so not too much dirty air for him to cope with. And let's see if he can get the undercut working.
So we're just past half race distance now, and this is the time where the drivers' engineers will start to talk to them about their fuel loads, whether they've been a little bit canny and been perhaps saving a little bit of fuel, or whether they've been a bit ambitious and really using the higher mix levels and giving it a full squirt along the straights. And of course, you've only got to forget to lower your fuel mix through the slower sectors a couple of times, and then you've blown 1/3 of a litre in a couple of laps. So they're going to have to start to bear in mind fuel levels. The balance of the car changes slightly as the tank's empty, and the balance of the car changes as the tyres come in. The big changes happening at the rear, and which certainly can unbalance the car. But Luca D'Amelio has certainly got a stranglehold on this race at the moment. I mean, he could want for nothing more. He's got pace, he's got clear air, he's got a 4-second gap to Jackson Wendt. And the way it now stands as well, his nearest competitor in the championship chase, albeit only after 3 rounds, is Brioni. is going to lose some points to him.
Yeah. We've got a battle for P13 in the race. David Santos versus Claudia Cunha. David was looking to make the move into turn 1. Decided to wait a little bit longer. Perhaps here on the back straight we'll be able to do something. He is on the fresher soft tire compared to the medium tire of Claudia Cunha. Now, will he get a good exit out of this last bit of cornering onto the main straight? Now DRS wide open, probably he's using some extra fuel, and straightforward move there. Not much defending done by Claudio, probably knows that he will waste his time doing so, considering David is on that fresher soft tire.
It's a tight little group fighting for P11. Olden Menga has pitted and is rejoining on soft tyres. So that's his second set of softs. So that'll be Olden Menga's last stop of the race. So he's rejoining in a real P6. Cameron Roger ahead of him. I think Cameron's got another stop to do. Yeah, Cameron has only pitted the one time 4 laps ago. I think Cameron would struggle to get home from here. No, not 4 laps ago. A lot more than 4 laps. 8 laps ago. So Cameron will pit again. So Olden Menga's got the comfort of knowing that Cameron Roger, who's in front of him, is going to disappear off the radar in half a dozen laps or so.
P13 once again. Leonov, David Santos and Kostas Galanomatis. Sorry if I mispronounced anything, but there a bit of contact made between Santos and Galanomatis, and that allowed Leonov to also get past him. Leonov is on that fresh super soft tire and he's flying at the moment. Already 3 positions gained in only 2 laps. Now Galamontanis also needs to watch out for Claudio Cunha. Claudio around the outside actually before the braking already is passed, and the leaders of the race are into the pit lane.
Good spot, including Vent and Lupini. Vent on the softs. Lupini looks like he's taken the mediums again. He's liking the mediums. Just must prefer the balance.
Yeah. So 16 laps for him to the end on the mediums. The rest is all on the soft tire. And Brioni is going for a little bit of a longer second stint, sorry. Let's see if he can gain positions by doing so. I'm not sure. Overcut is difficult to do with these kind of cars, as the fuel levels keep dropping and dropping. There's no refueling, so even though it's a harder compound compared to, for example, Lupini will be having fresh tires and lower, or well, the same amount of fuel, but fresh tires. So
yeah, Brioni's mediums are 13 laps old. So I guess what we'll see him do is come back out to play on the super soft in a few laps time. And being that he's got to stop again, he's probably still in about a net P6 after his next pit stop, depending if Battaglia has. No, I think Battaglia will have to stop as well.
Cameron Roger now losing positions to Tom Ondermangen. Is he actually? Cameron is not giving up easily. He's gonna try it on the inside. No, Tom leaves him room, but Cameron decides to back out of that. He will have the DRS though now. Let's see if Cameron can get a good enough exit. Ooh, I don't think it was good enough. Lost a bit of time. Has the DRS. Will it be enough? Grabs the slipstream of Tom Ondermangen. Needs to do a very deep braking if he wants to get anything done. He is making himself big in his mirrors, but no move made by Cameron. And I think that is the position definitely lost for him.
Cameron's probably not unhappy with the position he's in. I think he was in 13th on the grid, but of course he's got to do another pit stop, which is going to drop him back down to probably about P10. Our broadcaster cameraman just made a very good point. If Brioni wants to have a chance of winning, he's got 6 seconds on D'Amelio and 16, 14, 15 laps to play for. If Brioni can put a couple of fast laps in and put on the super soft tyre, the tyre's got a lap time delta of half a second. If he can pull another half a second out of sheer skill, he could be in the fight. Certainly he's going to be in the fight for a podium, because if he gets on, even rejoins just behind Cameron, no, Roger's going to disappear. What Brioni needs to do is rejoin on Tom Oldenmenger's gearbox, and with some DRS available. As we know, Oldenmenger won't be pitting again. Joe Pitea's bidding. And he's overshot his slot and switched from soft to the super soft tyre. So Joe Piteas is going to be looking forward to consolidating his top 10 position. Yep. And he won't be challenged by Tom Lamberts, who himself is at the moment being challenged by Leonov. Leonov is having a lot of fun on those red sidewall super soft tyres.
Yeah, he's gained a lot of positions in the last few laps, doing well so far. He will have to stop another time though, so if he stops now, he will be rejoining around P15 once again. So
might end up in the points. Certainly he's going to have to keep driving like he has been, keep driving very fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Piteas ahead of him won't be an easy one, because Piteas is quick and he's on the super soft tyre, so that maybe he can drag Leonov up through the grid with him. Though the next driver is 11 seconds up the road. Brioni is now pitting, so he'll be getting rid of those medium tyres, the white sidewall tyre. This time he executes a clean pit stop and he's onto the super softs, and he's going to be coming out looking to do some business. So rejoins in P6 just behind Morante. Morante is on the medium tyre, so really Brioni should be able to attack him quite aggressively, because his compound of tyre is 2 compounds softer, so we're talking at least a second a lap without pushing.
Yeah. Also look on Amelio, quickest lap time of the session so far, 31.3. So the Amelio is definitely not given up so far. And as I say that, Leonov improved that by 8 thousandths of a second. 31.321 by Ivan Leonov. So Ivan definitely still very quick on his super soft tires. Now Brioni is looking to get past Francesco Morante as quick as he can. Like you mentioned, David.
Interesting observation here. Yeah, Morante is teammates with the race leader Luca D'Amelio. So D'Amelio will be wanting Morante to really put up as much of a fight as he can for Tiziano Brioni. But Brioni, as they round the final corner onto the pit straight, Brioni will have DRS open.
Yeah, no
use
chance.
any excess fuel he's got available, and it's an easy pass. He's made that well before the entry to the turn 1, turn 2 chicane. And he's just able to hook that car up through there in a way that you only can do when you're on the super soft tyre. So he's now 4 seconds behind Roger. Roger will be pitting, so I think he's a bit academic. He's 6 seconds behind the guy who's really racing is for P3. It's Tom Oldenmenger, and he's got 6 seconds to make up. So we'll monitor that gap. In the meantime, Batalla has pitted and is taking on a soft tyre by the look of it. Seems to be stationary for a long time in pit lane. He's moved off only now. Matt Toussaint in pit lane behind him. And Toussaint has taken off the medium tyre and put on the super soft. Kulak also in pit lane, taking off super softs. No, taking a second set of super softs. So Brioni has brought that gap to Oldenmenger down to 5 seconds.
Brioni definitely being quick at the moment. 2 purple sectors, probably gonna be a fastest lap once again. Coming over the line now, what is it gonna be? 30... 30.2, yeah.
First guy in sub 131.
1.6 seconds quicker than Luca D'Amelio almost. And almost over 2 seconds quicker than Cameron Roger in front of him. So he
did a 131.6 last time round. Brioni did a 1.5 seconds.
Yep.
Tom Lambert's into pit lane, switching to a super soft tyre to bring himself home. So Leonov is now consolidated his grip on a top 10 position. David Santos is 5 seconds to the rear, but as Felix observed earlier, he's got Leonov has to pit yet again for another set of these super softs.
Yeah, Brioni there made a nice move on Cameron Roger even before the fast right. Managed to stay in front. His line was a little bit compromised, but nice racing there by both of those drivers. And now
Brioni has brought his lead, the lead of D'Amelio down now to 10 seconds, and even Roger is pitting for that stop that we anticipated. But Brioni is now within less than 10 seconds, and I think when we looked at when he rejoined a stint ago, I think it was 14 seconds. So he's certainly showing fantastic pace. Whether or not with 10 laps to go he's going to get into the fight for the win is questionable, but certainly he's going to give Tom Oldenmenger some work to do if he wants to keep on to his podium. Leonov is pitting now for that second. He'll be taking another set of super softs, we think. Get back out and have a bit more fun. And yep, he's going to rejoin on super softs.
Yeah, we'll be rejoining
11th place and be chasing David Santos. Santos is on the soft, so that could be a fight worth watching. And looks like Santos. Looks like he pitted on lap 17, 13 laps ago. Well, Santos must have to stop. Santos must be stopping to go for super softs, I'd say.
Yeah, if he's lost about 13 laps ago. Only 10 laps to go in this race, so I'd say that he'd stop either this lap or the next one. Now Lupini, still under pressure by Francesco Morante. They're both on the medium tire now, but Morante will be having DRS this lap. Let's see if he can get close enough to make the move on the back straight. Needs to get a good run through the first sector.
So these guys are both on the medium tyre, so it's a straight fight in terms of tyre strategy.
Now on the back straight, Morante goes, DRS opens. Let's see, he's closing in. Is it gonna be enough though? I don't think so. Brakes late, gets even closer, perhaps even before the fast right, and then no, doesn't get the best run out of the chicane. So surely he won't have enough of a slipstream to get close enough to Lupini.
Morante certainly pushing it, costing himself a bit of tyre wear there, but he's got to attack. He's squared off the corner a bit there, going for a different line to Lupini, but Lupini gets better exit speed.
Yeah, perhaps Morante trying to avoid the dirty air a little bit.
Yep. Very, very possible.
Now on the main straight, DRS will be opened once again.
In the meantime, Brioni is now 8 seconds from the lead and is only 2 seconds behind Tom Oldenmenger. So that'll be the next tantalising battle we'll see, because I'm sure Oldenmenger would like to hang on to his podium.
Yeah,
Brioni is going to want to minimise his losses. So they're only, in fact, they're only just a few seconds up the road from the Morante-Lupini fight.
And now Morante will have another shot at it. DRS opens once again, gets the slipstream from the car in front. I think he's going to be able to make a move this time. He's going to try it around the outside in the chicane. Brakes late, even before the corner already passed. Now needs to make sure he gets a good exit out of the chicane, because Lupini will be close. He will be trying it before the fast right around the outside. If he can make this stick, that's a very nice move, and he will make it stick. Great move there from Mirko Lupini, and defending his 5th place with everything he can possibly do.
That was fantastic racing from Lupini. Lupini defended to the inside of the chicane, which of course is the logical thing to do, but he was outbraked because Morante was on the rubbered line and had a better angle. But with that lovely exit from the chicane, he was able to drive the car at the left-hand side, which denied Morante the racing line, in effect. So Morante was unable to take an optimum line into the fast right-hander Cygnus. That was lovely tactical racing by Mirko Lupini. Hats off to that man.
Yeah, definitely.
And while that was happening, we missed the pass.
Brioni
has passed Tom Oldenmenger. They're only a second apart, but that was an intriguing battle. So I'm going to rewind and I'll let you know what happened. Yeah, it was a straightforward DRS pass on the pit straight. So Brioni got DRS, super soft tyres, threw it up the inside. Oldenmenger did a little bit of a feint to the left to make Brioni think twice, but Brioni was through and is now back into a net B3. So lovely driving from Tiziano Brioni, 6.5 seconds from the lead. Now Jackson Wendt is 4 seconds up out, and let me tell you, the mood that Brioni's in at the moment, I would not rule out him attacking Wendt, because he's got 7 laps to do it in. And if we have a little look at lap times, Wendt is doing mid 131s and Brioni is doing
30s,
mid 130s. Mathematically it's going to be on, because there's only a 3-second gap.
Yeah, but I think Brioni's tires surely are gonna degrade at some point. I mean,
true point. He gave himself, I think, what's a 13-lap stint he needed to do, I think, from memory. Yeah, 27. He pitted at lap 27, so he gave himself a 13-lap stint that he's going to have to do on these super softs. So it's going to be measured aggression. He won't be able to drive it like it's a qualifying lap. He's just going to have to meter out his tyre wear. But intriguing. It's just such an intriguing battle.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Wendt he's flown under the radar a bit this afternoon, because he's just had a very clean race. He's optimised his strategy. And he's out there now on a set of softs, which he took where? Lap 24. Well, his softs are 3 laps older than Brioni's super soft. So you know what? It's not as clear cut as we might think.
No.
Wendt is going to be feeling a little bit of tyre degradation, depending how hard Brioni's had to push it himself. 2.5 second the gap.
Now Morante and Lupini are also still battling. Morante close once again. Is he gonna be able to make the move into sector 3? That would be a nice one, but I don't think he's gonna be able to do that. Just the dirty air being a little bit too dirty for him.
Got to say, we've had some fantastic clean fights today in Pro Division. Really, really good to see. High skill levels, great pace, great situational awareness. That's what we come here. That's what Formula Sim Racing's all about. Morante's all over his gearbox as they enter the double right. Brioni is 1.7 seconds off Wendt now.
Yeah.
In fact, it's 1 second. So Brioni, if he pushes hard enough,
I think Wendt is
sector one. Brioni may even have DRS on Wendt this time round. 5 laps to go. Wendt's going to suffer from a bit of traffic potentially, or is going to benefit from DRS from that same traffic. So I'm on board with Brioni at the moment, just watching him. He gets a lovely clean exit out of the hairpin. He doesn't have DRS, nor does Wendt, so it's equals, but it's now, the gap is now 0.6 of a second. And Wendt has a little bit of lap traffic. Hopefully they'll have the awareness to lift and get out of the way, because Wendt does not want to be and the driver in front has not done the right thing. These guys are in a battle for P2, and I'm afraid the Miscalja, you could have made that a little bit easier for these contestants, but he's pulled over nicely eventually, but the gap is now probably 0.2 of a second. So well done for moving over. So Wendt is now going to be sweaty hands on the steering wheel. 4 laps to go, and P2, but the fastest man on track on the fastest tyres available, and DRS gets open. Brioni is now going to attack with DRS. He won't need to pass him here, but if he gets on his gearbox through sector 1, I think that's going to be his objective.
Oh, he's going to make the move already. Into the chicane he comes. And he's passed already. Outbrake him. I think Wendt didn't expect it at all. The speed that Brioni came in there into the chicane was really high. I think you were a bit delayed there, Dave. Sorry to undercut you.
I was going to apologise and to make sense of my babbling over the last few minutes. I think I was still back from when I watched the replay.
All right.
So apologies to the
worry.
audience.
Brioni now in P2, and he's going to be wanting to put the pressure on D'Amelio. I think
2.2 seconds.
Yeah, 4 laps to go, 2.2 seconds. It's possible.
Okay, D'Amelio was running mid to high 131s on a set of tyres that are going to be 16 laps old by the end.
Yeah.
Brioni, absolutely on fire, is running a second a lap quicker. This is intriguing. What a fight back. I mean, we saw Brioni pit from the lead. Just to recap for the audience, he had an unfortunate incident, touched the Armco on the entry of the pit lane, and should have rejoined maybe in the lead or within a second of the lead. But because of his issues with his pit stop, he rejoined 14 seconds. 14 seconds from the lead. And here we are on lap 37 of 40. He is now 1.9 seconds behind the lead. So unbelievable, well, believable, but incredible fight back from Brioni. And it's going to end up, this is going to be edge of the seat stuff as Brioni attacks D'Amelio. No doubt D'Amelio's engineer will be keeping him updated. Wendt and Olden Menger have been very, very well, but they ended up being bit players really in this incredible fight for the lead.
Lupini and Morante
just gotten past through Lupini again.
But Lupini is going to be able to do the same thing he did before. I don't think he's close enough for that this time around. He's going to have to give up the position for now. Francesco Morante taking P5 from the HCR driver, and it seems that Cameron Roger also definitely still close. Extended the track there a little bit, I think. But he's on the super soft tire. Mirko Lupini and Morante both on the medium tires. Perhaps Cameron is going to be able to even try to get past both of these drivers if he's got the pace.
Well, he's got DRS open, and certainly this is his time to shine, because if you recall, he ran 2 stints on the soft tyre, and he's now on the super soft.
Yeah.
Brioni, I'm just gonna watch Brioni for a second, because he'll have DRS on D'Amelio. Yep, DRS is open. D'Amelio is swerving like a cyclist trying to stay on the back of the peloton. But Brioni is going to have a massive overspeed and the racing line, and 25 laps after his unfortunate pit stop, Brioni has taken the lead yet again. So a massive drive from Tiziano Brioni. the Musto Racing driver, done incredible things.
Yeah, Cameron Roger in the meantime got past Lupini and also got past Morante already. Roger flying, he's in P5 now. Surely P4 is a bit too much to ask, only 2 laps to go in this race. And he is, what is it, almost 15 seconds behind them?
Yeah, 14 seconds. Well, we called it when they did the formation lap, Felix, didn't we? That Roger, it was going to be interesting to see what Roger achieved from, I think, P13.
Yeah.
Running a very patient strategy. Although Morante is nipping at his heels again, we shouldn't call this too early. But Roger ran from P13, was the first guy on softs. Ran 2 stints on the softs, and he put himself in a very good position to attack with super softs at the end and really get the best out of them, because I think Roger didn't pit particularly early for those super softs. They should be in good condition, but Morante is certainly no stranger to attacking. He just shuts the DRS, or the DRS shuts automatically either on throttle lift off or brake application to the turn 1, turn 2 chicane. Lupini is there again. The old firm of Lupini and Morante are back in business. Lupini wants a bit of this action. So while Morante is attacking Roger, Lupini is attacking Morante, and these 3 cars are separated by 1.25 seconds after 39 laps of racing. Lupini has DRS open, but Morante does as well, so that will equalise them.
That's the last lap of the race, so it's his last chance, basically, to either get back his position to Cameron Roger. I'm talking about Morante then, or Lupini to get back his 6th place. But Brioni, he is coming through the last sector, the last couple of corners for him. What a race it has been for the Italian driver. After his incident in the pit lane, fought back like a lion, and he is here now. The first one to cross the finish line and wins the French Grand Prix here for round 3 of the Pro Championship. Luca D'Amelio finishes in P2, and Jackson rounds up the podium in P3 with a great race from him as well. Then Tom Oldenmenger in P4, and Cameron Roger able to maintain his position in 5th. A great race from Cameron. Certainly flag to flag will be happy with that. P5 for him. Then Morante in P6, and the first ACR of the field finishes down in P7. ACR definitely will be disappointed with the pro race today. Then it's Jao Pitaes P8. Polomaros Sarantius in P9. I think that's a great debut for him. And then Ivan Leonov in P10.
So good points for Leonov, having started on the harder tyre, or rather the medium tyre, which was the hardest of the 3 compounds available. So he's made that work for good points. But I think you called it perfectly. He attacked absolutely like a lion. Brioni, that's got to be one of the sweetest victories that he will have ever achieved, I think, because he was 14 seconds back from another very fast driver in the shape of Luca D'Amelio, and that was a race-long fight to put himself back in at the business end. And I've got to say, surprised and impressed. I thought a podium would have been a fantastic recovery. To pull off the win in that manner, stunning performance. There's nothing short of the word stunning, and rightfully now puts him into the lead of the Pro Championship, Drivers Championship stakes. Emilio in 2nd, and I think that would put Oldenmenger in 3rd in the Drivers Championship. Yep. Jackson Vent, not quite sure where he sits in that schedule at the moment. So, wow, Felix, what a race. I was on the edge of my seat. That was so exciting on so many levels.
Yeah, it's been an absolutely exciting race, and it's only the Pro Championship. We've still got the Ace Championship coming up in just over 1 hour's time, and after that we have got obviously the main event of the weekend, the World Championship, coming up at 17:30 GMT. Make sure everybody tunes into that, especially the World Championship race. Is gonna be very exciting again. Let's see how the ACR guys, Michi Hoyer and Jonas Simoncic, can do. Of course, race winner last time around, Michele D'Alessandro, is somebody to keep an eye out on. And the Musto drivers in general, the reigning World Championship, Muhammad Patel, the 2015 World Championship at Arbillak. Everybody is gonna be a contestant for the win of this race. So let's see what they will be able to do. So yeah, make sure everybody tunes in for that. Ace Championship will be starting in just over an hour. I hope you all had a great time here for the Pro Championship. I want to thank you, Dave, for joining me in the commentary box.
My pleasure, Felix. Great working with you, and thanks for having me. And what a thrilling race to make my comeback broadcast on.
Yeah.
An awesome race. And thank you all the viewers who've joined us here at Circuit Paul Ricard, and all the people who'll watch on catch up later on. And yeah, tune in for Ace and tune in for the World Championship later on this afternoon.
Yep, that's it for us today, or at least for now for the Pro Championship. I hope to see you later in the day as well. Until then, take care.
Hey man, I got that new 10X Thrustmaster wheel. It's going down.
Xbox One?
I can't wait to play when I get home.
Yo, let me play.
Yeah, I have to play first. Yeah.
You know, I'll race it for it.
So I have a hand.
Keep it up.
Whoa, Reese!
Oh no, big mistake! Edwards got back to us and down to no, now he corners.
It has been an absolutely astonishing season.